If you clicked on this video, chances are you're very happy that your team jumped up in the draft lottery, or you're a Detroit Pistons fan that continues to wonder why you chose the worst franchise in NBA history to be your favorite team. And then there's also the people that have nothing at stake whatsoever. They just care about what happens in the NBA. The best part is that no matter what kind of fan you are, this one day changed a ton of things in the NBA, and it's very interesting to go over what might happen next. Like the Atlanta Hawks, for example, who had a 3% chance at winning the lottery and just happened to do that. Now, there's no doubt the Hawks jumping up to number 1 is insane, but it's even crazier to think this team already kind of has their identity. They already know who they are. Trae Young has already made an Eastern Conference Finals run, but sadly, I don't think that this number 1 pick is going to experience any winning anytime soon. And that's simply because I think this number 1 pick for the Atlanta Hawks is their perfect time to hit the reset button. I mean, seriously, this is their scapegoat. This is their one way to leave their pretty terrible looking franchise right now and saying, you know what, we tried, it was a failed experiment, but we're just gonna reset. That being said, I don't know where Trae Young would go. I don't know where DeJounte Murray would go. I don't know where a lot of their players would go. As much as I want to say Trae Young should go to San Antonio, it looked like the Spurs weren't interested in getting him, which is bizarre to me. But seeing that the Atlanta Hawks could reset and get a player like Alexander Sarr, I'm pretty sure his full name is Alexander, I don't mean to drop the full government name if it's not, or by drafting Ricochet, which I know I butchered that name so bad. Which something that we need to clarify before continuing with this video is that I understand everyone has been saying that this draft class is the weakest draft class in NBA history. We've been seeing GMs saying it, we've been seeing analysts, random people on Instagram comments. I mean, it is all over the place. And you know what I want to say to those people? Shut the fuck up. I don't know much about this draft class, to be honest. If there's one person I know the most, it's probably Jared McCain because of his TikToks. Also Rob Dillingham, okay? I'm a big fan of his. But the point is that I understand there are people that do this for a living. They watch young talent. They see what their ceiling is, what their floor is, what they're good at, what they're bad at. I get there are people that are way more qualified than me. But when looking at this draft class, I can't comprehend the fact that there is no good talent, that there's no stars. There's no one that's even going to be an all NBA caliber player. That's just not possible. Okay, well, we clearly know it's possible because of previous drafts, but I think that we're seeing a lot of these headlines simply because we are coming off of one of the most generational draft classes of all time. We also don't really see many players in college that are doing that crazy. Like Zach Edey is the most popular college player, at least to my knowledge. And I only say that he's the most popular because I don't really watch college like that, and he was the most talked about college player from last year. So that's how I perceive it. And I'll tell you right now, Zach Edey is not no damn top 5 pick. But anyways, I say all of that to make the point that I think the Atlanta Hawks trading Trae Young and DeJounte Murray and resetting and maybe rebuilding around a player like Ricochet, once again probably butchered it, or Sarr is maybe a good idea. Even though they might be a bust, even though it might not look good, I think it is better than trying to bring someone in and force them to connect with what is already a failing core. But when talking about them trying to make things work with a failing core, that's when I feel like the other side of this franchise's decision making, that's where it could be. The Hawks might see this as an opportunity to bring on another player that could be their young talent next to Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young is not old by any means, because you don't want to be the franchise to bring in one of these top end talents and then end up saying in 2 to 3 years, damn, we need a really good point guard to go next to him. So there's no doubt this is exciting for the Atlanta Hawks and their fans, but to me, there's 2 decisions that they can make as a franchise, and one of them is a lot better than the other. Next up in the draft lottery is the Washington Wizards. And to be honest, I don't really know what the Washington Wizards are going to do here. I feel like the Wizards are currently under what I like to call the Mikal Bridges curse. And what I mean by that is that they have players that are like 3rd options or 4th options on good teams, but because they're on a bad team like the Washington Wizards, they are looked at like superstars, like max contract players. And I don't want to discredit Bradley Beal and what he's done in his career, but we've seen him do this exact thing with the Washington Wizards. Bradley Beal is not that good of a player, and they gave him probably the worst contract that the NBA has ever seen in history. So seeing them with the number 2 pick, the only thing I could hope that they do is actually draft for talent. I know it's a very common thing in the NBA to draft for talent, and it's actually looked down upon to draft for fit, but it's the Washington Wizards, okay? So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. Draft for talent, and maybe the Wizards start looking to shop players like Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole and see what you can get for them. Because let's say hypothetically the Wizards become good in 2 to 3 years, and that's being very generous. Kyle Kuzma will be damn near 31 years old, and I feel like there's a lot of teams out there that need his abilities and his skills now to push them over the hump, like my Sacramento Kings. Please, Washington, please give him to us. I think it would just be the smartest move. You could trade him for some draft capital, some more young players. I understand understand if maybe you want to keep Jordan Poole as a part of your team because he is young and he's worth getting some burn, but something about Jordan Poole being like the older veteran on my team, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like you could get a lot for him and instead just get him out of there, get some more picks, get some more young talent, and just really build something from the ground here. Now, obviously, this lottery is huge for the Atlanta Hawks considering they jumped so much, but I seriously think the biggest winners of this draft, maybe number 2 actually looking at someone else who's coming up, is the Houston Rockets. I am a little skeptical about the Houston Rockets only because at the end of the season, we saw Jalen Green turn into the player that everyone wanted him to be. And for me, I don't know how much I value like an end of season run. I want to see him at least 2 months into next season play that same way for me to really look at Jalen Green and say, okay, he is going to be their franchise player. But even besides Jalen Green, they obviously have Alfred Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr. I feel like I'm forgetting one more player. Oh, Amen Thompson as well. Like, this team is good. And for them to jump all the way up to number 3, oh man, it could be scary. But what I have seen from the Rockets is that they're actually looking to shop this pick, which is understandable if they want to go around and look for someone who is already a star and not try to take the risk on another young player. That's a decision that they are going to make and they're going to have to make soon. And really looking at it, I don't know if they do need this number 3 pick. Granted, I'm not too informed on who is going in their mock draft and who they would be receiving, but I do think that the young talent they have now will be their core and will be who they go with continuing forward, and they don't really need to bring anyone new in. They could trade that for someone who is certified and good to go. And since we're already in Texas talking about the Houston Rockets, let's go ahead and drop one more spot down in the lottery and talk about the San Antonio Spurs, who didn't only get the 4th overall pick, but also got the Toronto Raptors number 8 overall pick. I mean, seriously, how do they keep doing this? Well, besides the fact they were a terrible team this year. But anyways, we know their future. We know the guy that they are going to be building around for decades to come. And I don't know if bringing in a top tier talent in this draft is something that is going to help build that. We know that Victor wants to win now. He said it before that he is wanting to win. He doesn't want to sit here and wait and try to build up a team for years. Just look at LeBron's career. There's a big gap there of what could have been done. And so if I'm the San Antonio Spurs, I am shopping the number 4 pick. I'm going to look around and see maybe what point guard I can get. As much as I want to say Trae Young would fit right into there, they don't seem to agree. But the best part is that if you're the Spurs and you sell off that number 4 pick, you not only get another good player in return, but you also keep that number 8 pick, or vice versa. Maybe they have a player that they like a lot more on the top of the draft and they're going to take him at 4. They can then trade that Toronto Raptors 8th pick. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that. So the Spurs are in a win-win situation because they either get 2 young rookies that can help push their team forward, or they trade one and also keep a rookie, or shit, just trade both and get a superstar in return. And just knowing the Spurs, if there is any untapped talent or really underrated low-key pickups in this draft, they are going to be the ones to get them. You know what? I'm actually going to take back what I said about the Spurs trading their 4th overall pick because I want them to draft Rob Dillingham so goddamn bad. I need to see Rob and Victor play with each other so bad. I already know they would run the league for years to come, and I need to see it. So San Antonio, you know exactly what I want you to do. Go ahead and draft Rob. But by far the most depressing story in this year's lottery is the Detroit Pistons, with them now being awarded the 5th overall pick 3 times in a row, with them having the worst record in the NBA for 2 of those 3 seasons, which no doubt is rough. And I've seen a lot of Pistons fans complain on Twitter about how the lottery system is rigged and how it's clear that it's broken because they haven't gotten a number 1 pick. And some people feel bad. I understand. Me personally, I don't. I'm a Kings fan, and I'm going to say right now, it is sad and pathetic that the franchise has come down to complaining about the draft lottery. I mean, we thought complaining to officials was low. They don't even care about the game. Like, I'm being dead ass. They had the number 1 overall pick in 2021, I'm pretty sure. They got Cade Cunningham, great young player they were so hyped up and excited for. Then they go out and get Jaden Ivey, which, being a Kings fan, I remember they were shit talking Kings fans, laughing at us for taking Keegan Murray over Jaden Ivey. They made fun of us, saying that we were still going to be a lottery team and not even make the play-in tournament. And look where they were the very next year, drafting Asar Thompson at number 5, and now they're right back to where they were before. And you're going to sit here and complain about the lottery? Are you being fucking serious? That is so goddamn sad. And if you're just like a regular, normal human being Pistons fan, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like be a dick towards you. This is really me just getting my frustrations out on like the really annoying Pistons fans when we drafted Keegan. But seriously, at some point the Pistons just have to make some sort of move or trade. You can't just sit here and keep on collecting number 5 overall picks like the damn Infinity Stones. You gotta start making some moves or just do something. Do something, because maybe for all we know this team will come back and be more connected than ever and be a play-in team. It could happen. They're not that bad of a roster, but with the culture they have there, I don't think it will happen. So yeah, that's how I feel about the Pistons. But since I was talking about the Kings, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip to them real quick, because landing the 13th overall pick, I for sure didn't expect them to jump any higher. I I do really want to make a video talking about who I think the Kings should take at number 13. I don't know much about these young prospects, so maybe you guys can let me know some knowledge down in the comments below, or if you'd even like to see that video in the first place. But it'll be very interesting to see what the Kings do with this pick, considering they don't really have much wiggle room when it comes to signing people. I think money-wise, they're pretty maxed out. Along with them possibly losing Malik Monk, maybe this is a draft pick that you try to fill that void with. Obviously, it's going to be insanely hard to fill up a six-man of the year role, but maybe that's something that they try to look at and see if they can do that. But if they do keep Malik Monk, it'll be interesting to see if maybe they try to trade this pick, because this pick, along with some other assets, could turn into Brandon Ingram, maybe for the team. Pistons or Pelicans, please. We gave you 6 goddamn wins last year. Just give us Brandon Ingram. But that's really all I have. I feel like the Kings are going to make a decision as soon as they know whether or not they're keeping Malik Monk. Either way, I'm sorry if I skipped your team and didn't talk about them. If I did, it's probably because I don't really know much about who they can get at their position. I do really want to go more in depth, so if you'd like to see that, go comment down below. Also, drop your opinions on your team or maybe some other team down in the comments below as well. One of my favorite things is responding to you guys and talking about basketball down in the comments, so go ahead and do that. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe button as well, as that does help out the channel a ton. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and lock back into the playoffs, so I'll see you guys all in the next one. Later.